Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
It's more about understanding your audience, because if you can understand your audience more than they understand themselves, then you can get them to click on your video and watch your whole video every single time.
Welcome back, Millionaire University. Today we're going to go into a really unique way that you can start leveraging the power of YouTube and the incredible amount of viewership that this platform gets to start building your own revenue stream. And it's probably not in a way that you have ever seen or understood before. I know that this blew my mind, and I had never approached YouTube in this manner. I typically see it as a content creator, somebody who's building a brand, as a way to get in front of more people. Our guest today, Tony Lysandrides, is going to show us how he successfully built multiple faceless YouTube channels. And I think the wheels are going to start turning as you start thinking about some of the content you have seen personally. And now we're going to see behind the scenes of how that business model works and how he's actually monetized without ever showing his face by tapping into the power of viral videos. So let's dive right in with Tony and break down how you too can leverage the power of YouTube to build a business without even using your face. Hello, Tony. Welcome to the Millionaire University podcast. So excited to have you here today. I know you're going to bring a ton of value to our listeners. Can you give everybody a little insight into what we're going to be diving into today?
Yeah, so thanks for having me, Kirsten. Today we'll be looking at YouTube channels, what they're doing today, and how the ordinary person can monetize from them, and how I ended up doing it.
Awesome. Okay, well, with that being said, let's dive into a little bit of your backstory. How did you get started with YouTube? How long ago did this start? Is this your first entrepreneurial endeavor?
So essentially it started in the heat of lockdown, the first lockdown, where I was put on furlough here in the UK. I live in the UK, London, England. And at that time, I was working as a CCTV installer. I was installing alarm systems, security systems. And because of the whole COVID situation, a bunch of us were put on furlough, meaning that we were asked not to come into work. And we were asked not to work, but they still paid us a percentage of the money that the salary, basically. Mm-hmm. And so it gave me a lot of time to just look at online business models. And I tried all sorts of different things. I tried Forex trading, tried social media marketing, and none of it seemed to have worked as much as what I wanted it to. But in the heat of lockdown, I ended up buying a course which teaches how to profit from YouTube channels, how to make money from YouTube without having to show your face, without having to be on camera, without having to make the videos yourself. This was something I wouldn't say it was new to me, because I have made videos before on YouTube. I didn't make them. I just downloaded other people's videos and put it onto my channel. But I didn't know this was a business model. And so when I was going through this course, I began to understand it's a business model. That's when I started my own channel. This was, I believe, first lockdown, which was in the summer of 2020. It started off slow. I started doing a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel, started doing videos about anything and everything. I couldn't really find a niche yet. I was just studying trends and doing similar videos. And eventually what happened was, from my first channel, after we had a few videos that did really well and it popped off and started doing some decent numbers. And then our channel got monetized within 8 months, which is actually a long time compared to what I've been doing recently. So right now I can monetize a channel within 30 days. I've monetized 2 channels within 30 days each. So within 2 months, I monetized 2 channels recently. But it took me 8 months because I was a beginner. I didn't really know what I was doing. But it took me 8 months to get there. So with YouTube, the way creators profit from YouTube is you make money from the AdSense revenue. So have you ever clicked on a YouTube video, Kirsten? And when you clicked on the video, you didn't see the video, you saw an advert.
Oh, every time. Pretty much every
time. Yeah, so YouTube has become, it's always really been a business. And now they enable creators to profit from those adverts. So as a creator, if you're having a lot of clicks on your videos, you will make, I believe it's around 40% of every click that comes through. So advertisers pay YouTube to put the adverts on YouTube videos, and then YouTube enable creators to split the ad revenue with the creators. So whether you're showing your face or whether you're not showing your face, you can have multiple YouTube channels that each pay you every month in different niches. So that essentially is the business model. And it took around a year and a half before I hit my first $5,000 month. And then after my $5,000 month, actually that was a $7,000 month, £5,000, about $7,000. And then after that, it doubled to 14,000. And since then I've been able to monetize around 4 more channels after that. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Then I moved into the coaching side of things. I had a bunch of people reach out to me saying they want me to teach them how to do this. And then I began teaching people how to do this as well. And yeah, so that essentially is the skeleton of the story.
Love it.
Now we just need to put meat on the bones.
Oh, that's awesome. So you touched on this. People started asking you to teach them how to do this. But when was the shift that you made into, wow, this is actually something that works really well? I started talking about this with people. How did you see the need for more people, or what is the need that you really want to fill with teaching people how to create these channels?
It's a good question, Kirsten. I do know that everyone is moving. A lot of businesses and a lot of people are moving to online work. And a lot of people who I know personally at my workplace at the time, even people who I know, everyone's looking for a new way to make an extra bit of money. And so because I saw that need in the market, I then created my own course, and then I had a coaching program that I did with other people. So yeah, so that's pretty much how it panned out.
Cool. Love it. Okay, let's dive in a little bit into this step-by-step process. If I'm somebody who wants to start this, I know you obviously have a course that you sell, but let's break it down on, you said you can monetize in 30 days. Can we just break down what those steps would look like if I wanted to start a YouTube channel and monetize it within 30 days? And caveat to this, are you specifically referring to Faceless YouTube channels where it's sourcing content from other places, or any YouTube channel? Does this work across the board?
It works across the board.
Okay.
So it's faceless as well as people who want to show their face. So essentially, the first step, what you would want to do is you would want to look for trends. So you would want to look for a niche or a channel that has gone viral in the past, I would say 3 to 4 weeks. Very recent. So it can be up to 3 months. I wouldn't go beyond 3 months because a trend can die after that. Or it'll be hard to catch a wave if it's after 3 months. I used to say 6 months, but now I'm shortening it. So essentially, you would want to look for a trend that has popped off in the past 3 months. Obviously, the sooner the later, the better. And you would want to ride that wave by doing similar videos to the videos that have gone viral. So for example, if you saw a video go viral that explains, I'm terrible at examples, how to manufacture steel. Let's say a video went viral about how to manufacture steel. What you would want to do is you would want to study the thumbnail and the thumbnail and the title and the psychology behind the thumbnail and the title, and hijack the psychology behind the title and the thumbnail and apply it to your own video. So if a video went viral about, let's say it got 10 million views within 2 weeks, that's a viral hit. And it was uploaded by a channel that is relatively small. For example, if it only has 1,000 subscribers, if a video has hit 10 million views and they only have 1,000 subscribers, then you know that those views are not coming from their subscribers, rather they're coming from the algorithm, what people are looking for, the homepage, and so forth. So when you see a trend like that, what you would want to do in order to catch that wave is that you would want to hijack the psychology of the title and thumbnail and do a similar concept. So instead of how steel is manufactured, you'll do a video about how copper is manufactured, how diamonds are manufactured, how different metals are manufactured, and even different things. You can move on to chocolate, coffee, different things. So that essentially becomes an outlier where it's how XYZ is manufactured. You just have to change the steel part. So instead of how steel is manufactured, you replace the word steel with something else, and you have the same kind of concept and the same psychology, same thumbnail, very similar thumbnail to the other viral video. And then the idea is to essentially steal the traffic from that viral video and put it into yours. And that's pretty much how it works. And when it comes to video creation, we haven't really got into that part, but you can hire people very cheap on Fiverr or Upwork to do the videos for you. And the reason why I say very cheap is because you won't be hiring people from the UK or the USA or Europe. You would essentially be hiring people from places like the Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nigeria, places where the currency is or the economy is much less. So essentially what you're doing is you're leveraging the power of the pound or the power of the dollar or the power of the euro against the Filipino pesos or the Pakistani rupee or the Indian rupee. So a lot of companies do this. They outsource a lot of their stuff overseas because of cheap labor.
So before we go any further, I have two questions. Number one, how do we find those viral videos? What am I doing on YouTube? Talk to me like I'm a total beginner, because I would be in this realm. Am I just getting on YouTube and just seeing what the algorithm feeds to me? Are you trying to search within a niche and what's trending in that niche, or just any trending video? Does it help to have some interest in the subject matter, or does that not matter at all? That was a lot of questions, but all along the same vein of how we find those viral videos.
Sure. So it does matter. If you have more of an interest in the subject, then you're going to be motivated, and you're going to be more motivated than if you're not interested. So you're less likely to give up if you don't see immediate results. Now, I personally look through YouTube, but I use an AI software called vidIQ. So vidIQ is an extension browser that you install on your Chrome browser. It's like an extension. And essentially what it does is that it peels through the lens and it enables you to see which videos, how many views per hour a video is getting. So essentially what you would want to do is you want to scroll through YouTube itself and gather the data from YouTube and then look, because YouTube, when you see a video uploaded, it tells you when it was posted, it tells you how many views it has, and you can actually see if the channel is a big channel or if it's a small channel. You want to see it, you want to look for a small channel, because big channels, most likely their views are coming from their subscribers, their loyal fans, and so forth. Those are the three things: a video that's gone viral, uploaded by a smaller channel, and it was uploaded recently. So once you see that trend on YouTube, then you'll ride that wave, and it's essential to have that software called vidIQ, because it's a free software. There is a paid version, but the free software is enough for you to see the views per hour. And yeah, so when you look through YouTube, you can also see the views per hour with the vidIQ extension, where you can see if a trend has died down or if it's still alive. So that's essentially is very essential. There's a free software called vidIQ, which helps a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then my other question was, I get really curious about this. So how, and maybe you can't answer this because you're not a walking algorithm, but how does that work? Like, how do you know I'm going to make a video similar, I'm going to hack the title? Is it just because it does work that you know? Or do you have any insight on why you think me making a video about a similar subject but with a very similar hook is actually going to be shown to the same people? Because if I'm interested in how to manufacture steel, am I really going to also be interested in how you make chocolate? Or do you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that work? Is this just assuming people are going to binge content that's similar on YouTube?
Yes, it's more about studying the audience rather than the algorithms. When you see that people enjoy watching steel, it might not be the fact that they're interested in steel, but there might be some sort of other element towards why they're interested in that video. So there's different types of audiences who want to feel different things when they watch videos. So when you see a video of steel being molded, it might not be the steel that they're interested in, but it might be the visual process of how it's done. So they don't care about steel, but they love watching the steel burn and become white hot and then be molded. And if you get what I'm saying, it's more of the feeling that the video gives them rather than the content itself. Mm-hmm. There's different types of audiences on YouTube. So there's some audiences on YouTube are more of a cortisol audience, where it's the chemical in the brain where they just like dark side stuff. Some channels are getting millions of views who are in the dark side niche. So they talk about the dark side of New York, the dark side of Texas, the dark side of Europe, the dark side of Africa. So there's like a dark side niche. They like to see the dark side of things, and they love that. And then there's other types of audiences which are more of a dopamine audience. They want to see stuff that gives them a buzz, like fresh news, like gossip channels. There's a lot of channels about celebrity gossip and different things happening in the world, and people like that dopamine. They want to hear about what's going on in other people's lives, drama that's going on in other people's lives. So that's more of a dopamine audience. Then you have more of a serotonin audience who like want to be educated and know and feel peace and feel fulfilled and feel like they're on the right track. And so there's different feelings and emotions that different audiences tend to have. And So mainly it's more about understanding your audience, because if you can understand your audience more than they understand themselves, then you can get them to click on your video and watch your whole video every single time. So it's more about understanding the audience rather than the algorithm. When I first started, I thought it was all about the algorithm. Just find out what the algorithm wants and feed it. But when you start understanding that you're dealing with real people who are not stupid, they like real content, that's when you will make a shift in your production process and actually be more cautious about the quality rather than the quantity.
Wow. I'm really glad you clarified that, because I would have, like you, thought it was more about hacking the algorithm. You're using those tools, like you mentioned, the video IQ, I think you said it was. And I would find it really appealing to just make it very technical. But it sounds like even algorithms are really based on human behavior, right? They may not be able to an algorithm may not be able to assign that meaning to it, but that's essentially what they're looking for. It's interest and what's going to continue to pique interest. But we're going a little bit deeper into that same psychology that we would use to sell anything. We're just applying it to more media and entertainment or infotainment, whatever it may be. And I wanted to ask you, when I see those videos, because this is the type of YouTube video that I love to watch, that are just all the motivational quotes plugged into one, and it's just all these really inspiring things, really inspiring video, where would that fall? Is that more in like the serotonin or the dopamine category? And is this kind of an example of a faceless YouTube video where you're just compiling all of these things that people are out there looking for and putting it into a video?
Yeah, exactly that. So that's the motivation niche. I would say it's more of a dopamine niche. People want to feel motivated. They want to feel a buzz. They want to feel, yeah, let's go get it. So that's more of a dopamine niche, dopamine audience. And yeah, so that's a perfect example. There's many motivational channels. They've been around for a long time. It is a pretty difficult niche to go into at the moment because it's very saturated. So it will be pretty tough to compete against those big already established channels. Essentially, you would want to look for a niche that's a bit smaller, not smaller, but more up and coming, and you want to ride that wave. But yeah, so yeah, that's a good example.
Okay.
Kirsten, the whole motivation niche. And I'm sure everyone listening to this right now, they've heard of or they've seen a faceless YouTube video, and they didn't know that it was a business, essentially.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going. We've gone through the steps that we need. We've gotten to like step 2. So what would we do next after understanding how we can dive in and hack maybe one of those trending videos? What's the next step?
Yeah, so once you've identified your trends and your niche, and you want to go into that niche, the next process is the hiring process. This is where you need to be really good at recruiting. And in my community, I have different students from all walks of life. And I like to say to them, look for your competitive advantage, because everyone has a different competitive advantage in life. And you'd want to use that in whatever you're doing, whether it be business, YouTube videos, whatever you're doing. You would want to identify your competitive advantage and use that. Some people have a lot of cash on hand that they can use to invest and leverage that. Other people might have a lot of time on their hands, so they can leverage that. Other people might be good at recruiting. Other people might be good at technology. Other people might be good at AI. So whatever your competitive advantage is, you would want to leverage that and use it to benefit your business and your YouTube channel. So essentially look for your competitive advantage. So if you're a manager and you know how to manage people well, and if you're a recruiter and you know how to recruit people well, so this will be a really good part of the process for you to really shine. So essentially you would want to recruit the right people, because that's going to determine whether you're going to success or fail. And you can go on websites like Upwork, onlinejobs.ph, Fiverr, and that's when you would find your freelancers. So there's a 4-stage process to every video. So the first stage of the process is ideation. Actually, there's 5 stages then. So the first stage is ideation, which we have pretty much gone through. And that's the most important part of the whole process, ideation. A good video idea is going to determine the difference between you getting 10,000 views and 1 million views. So that's how important a video idea is. So ideation is the most important part of the process. After ideation comes the scripting. So the scripting is essentially where you have to, now when you're hiring, you can either do the script yourself. So if you are passionate about the topic, you can do the scripts yourself. However, if you don't have any knowledge about a specific topic, that's not an issue. You can hire somebody who has a lot of knowledge in that specific topic. For example, if you see a good trend in the Formula One niche, but you don't have a clue about Formula One, you can hire somebody who does love Formula One and loves writing about it, and you can just hire them to do amazing videos for you. The first part is ideation. Second part is the script of the video, and that's a very important part as well. That's the second most important part, script. So you do the scripting of the video, and like I said, if you are passionate about the topic, you can do it yourself with the use of ChatGPT. The second part, or the third part, is the voiceover. So after you have the script ready, you would want to plug that script and have either a human voiceover over that script. You can do this yourself. You can hire someone to do this. Or, like me, you can use a website called 11 Labs, which is an AI tool which enables you to put in any script, and an AI voice would speak that script, and you would never think it's AI. It sounds exactly like a human being.
Wow.
So that's a good way of doing it. It's called 11 Labs. Go on that website and you can see you can do through that website. After the voiceover, the fourth stage is the video editor. So there are AI tools for video editing. If you are good at video editing, then use this for your competitive advantage, because this is a very important part of the process. And yeah, so I hire my video editor still. That hasn't been replaced by AI. AI has actually helped video editing at the moment. So there has been there was a huge surge of AI in the last quarter of 2023, and in 2024, AI has just been rapidly increasing. And with the voiceover, you can use an AI voiceover that sounds like a real human being. And with the video editing, I hire that and outsource that still. And then the last part of the process can be replaced by AI, essentially, and it is the thumbnail. So the thumbnail is the picture that people click on before they go on the YouTube video. So essentially, the title is what you read, what the video is about, and then the thumbnail is that picture which reveals more about the video, and the aim of it is to create curiosity. So that picture is called a thumbnail, and you would want someone to specifically design that for you. And yeah, so either you can do that yourself through the paid version of ChatGPT. That image generation tool is called DALL-E, or you can use Midjourney AI, which is another image generation tool, and you can just use that, whack it into Canva, add text and add arrows and so forth. So yeah, the 5 steps are: the first one is ideation, second one is script writing, third one is the voiceover, and then fourth one is the video editing. And then after the video editing comes the graphic design, which is the thumbnail of the video. Yeah.
Hey there, Millionaire University listeners. Let's talk about something crucial for every aspiring millionaire: protecting your valuable ideas and work. You know how much time and effort you put into creating that killer business plan, those innovative designs, or that game-changing spreadsheet. But have you ever thought about what would happen if you lost it all in an instant? That's where CrashPlan comes in. Since 2001, CrashPlan has been the go-to solution for cloud-based data protection. And now, as its own independent company, they're laser-focused on providing the best cloud backup solutions in the market. Picture this: you're working on your next $1 million idea, and every 15 minutes, CrashPlan is quietly backing up your files to their secure cloud. No interruptions, no hassle, just peace of mind knowing that your work is protected. With CrashPlan Professional, you get unlimited computer backup. That's right, unlimited. So whether you're a solo entrepreneur or running a growing business, CrashPlan has you covered. Ready to protect your $1 million ideas? Here's an exclusive offer for Millionaire University listeners. Go to crashplan.com/MU for 50% off your first year of CrashPlan. That's crashplan.com/MU for 50% off your first year. Back up better with CrashPlan.
At Evernorth Health Services, we believe costs shouldn't get in the way of life-changing care, and we're doing everything in our power to make it possible. Behavioral health solutions that also keep your projections at their best? It's possible. Pharmacy benefits that benefit your bottom line? It's possible. Complex specialty care that cares about your ROI? It's possible. Because we're already doing it. All while saving businesses billions. That's Wonder made possible. Learn more at evernorth.com/wonder.
Awesome. So I'm curious, for you, were you instantly hiring that out and having people do those elements, or were you doing all of them yourself in the beginning and then waited until you scaled up to hire it out?
I instantly was hiring everything out. I outsourced everything because I had a lot of cash on hand. So I just wanted to leverage my money. So that was the reason why I didn't learn anything. Essentially, all I was doing was the ideation and just quality control, basically more like a project manager than anything else.
Okay. And like you said, you can leverage whatever you have on hand, and that was clearly where you were at. Do you see some of your students and other people having to do it manually until they build up that cash flow and they are having to learn each step? And in that case, what do you see the timeline being like when somebody has to do every single step? Is it worth just putting some money, even if you don't have a huge chunk of money, into hiring the right people in the right places?
That's a very tough question. In my community, we have a lot of people who do a lot of the work themselves, the script themselves, the voiceover themselves. That's mainly because they want to keep costs down, but essentially it is good to get your hands dirty at first. So you know how what entails in the business, and you're not just like some guy, some project manager just throwing away instructions to somebody, telling them what to do. It really depends on where somebody is in their financial situation. But yeah, even if you have a lot of money, cash on hand, I would say that it's important to get your hands dirty in one or the other type of the process, whether it be script writing, video editing. But ideation is definitely something you should not outsource, especially at the beginning. And you should always be like a quality control freak, just making sure that the quality is really good. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect, but you have to at least aim for perfection. And if you don't achieve perfection, don't be disappointed. But yeah, so everyone's at a different stage. Some people outsource everything. Some people do half of it and outsource the rest. Some people do everything. Depends if you have time on your hands, cash on your hands. It really depends. Everyone's unique.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the case with any business model, right? I've learned that the hard way, where you can continue to do it all yourself, but if you can leverage your own creative genius and your own wheelhouse and bring other people in, even if at first that's going to look like the balance sheet in your business is a little bit off, it's still going to be the long game. So is your strategy in growing the channel, because I know you mentioned at the very beginning that you're looking for viral videos, and I can see somebody who doesn't know what they're doing necessarily being like, okay, we'll just chase this viral video, but jumping niches. Do you see an advantage to just making sure that on your channel you're staying niche specific? And is that something that your goal is when you create the channel, is to increase subscriber base or just have a bunch of videos?
Yeah, I would say stay in your niche. And if you are going to jump around and do different niches, I would suggest that if you are going to do that on one channel, try out different niches, which is not something I would recommend. But if you are going to do that and one of those videos goes viral, then what I would suggest is delete all the other videos that didn't go viral, and then just focus niche down on that video that went viral. Just do similar topics to the one that went viral. So if you are going to do that, do it like that. Or another strategy is you can do one niche in one channel and then have another channel with another niche. And so you can test out two niches at the same time, and whichever one explodes is the one you're going to double down on. Because with YouTube, the good thing is that you can have under one Gmail account, you can have multiple YouTube channels.
That's true. I agree with that. I think it's important this is applicable to every platform, right? The more niche specific that you get, the easier it's going to be for it to take off and for the algorithm to know what you're creating for. When did you decide to start a new channel? Were you focusing on one niche with that very first channel that you did? Or were you, because you said I don't recommend doing that, where you're jumping around finding a variety of different viral videos. And then at what point for you did you decide, okay, I have this down to a science, I'm going to add a new channel, I'm going to try this with a totally, and are your videos different niches? I guess that's an important distinction to make too.
Yeah, so after I had my first success with my channel about Dubai, I then started to open up different channels. But that actually became a mistake. I believe I started like an extra 2 channels. So I was running like 3 channels at once. That became a mistake because I ended up spreading myself too thin. And so it's very important that you don't spread yourself too thin. And if you are going to have multiple channels, which is good, you have to make sure that one channel is crushing it. And if anything, you can hire a channel manager to manage that for you, a good channel manager. You can do that, but obviously margins then go down. But if he's a good channel manager, then he can run it for you, and then you're pretty much hands-free. You just have to check up with him every week for an hour, and that's fine. But yes, I would never, ever recommend spreading yourself out too thin. And yeah, so be very careful. For anyone who's doing YouTube, just be very careful that you don't spread yourself out too thin, because that was a mistake I did.
Yeah, I have heard this kind of as a pattern with different people I've interviewed and talked to in business. I think we get really excited to scale because we're like, oh, something's working. And instead of just doubling down on what is working, let's add more things, try more things, see if we can replicate this success. And a lot of times that will just squirrel you out and actually inhibit your ability to grow the thing that's working. It's funny looking back on it, but in the moment, it's so easy to get pulled away.
Wow. Just by you mentioning that, I just had a flashback of successes I've had and the way I've dealt with them in YouTube and in other areas. I'm just like, wow, what you said was so true. When we do have a success in a specific area, naturally you would think it makes sense to double down, to keep going down that route. But instead, we have this shiny object syndrome on a higher level, not on a broke level, but now you have success, and now you still have shiny object syndrome. Instead of just doubling down on what's working, you're just going to move on to something else, expecting it's going to work as good as that thing, which is a deception. Wow, what you just said is really powerful.
And even hearing you repeat it back, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I think it's any of those mental habits that you have, they just change. Like you said, now you found something that worked. So now you almost have a different type of delusional confidence. You're like, I can do anything. So I'm going to try everything instead of, I did this really well. Let's keep doing this really well and then give it more time and feed it more. And then we can add other income streams and scale in a different way. But I think that's honestly what I've seen a lot of businesses crumble from is the quick trigger to scale, like not letting it do its thing organically. And that doesn't mean we don't work harder and keep putting in the reps. I think it's just making sure that if you've always had shiny object syndrome, be aware that you're probably going to continue that in just a different level now in your business. So great aha moment on both sides. Truly. I needed to hear it too.
Wow. And I hope the audience, the people listening to this today, have the same aha moment that you have to be careful of this because that beast is in every single one of us.
Mm-hmm. Justin and Tara on the episodes, they've traveled the world and they've said this. You take yourself with you wherever you go. And I've experienced that myself too, where you think if you go start this other business, it's going to look different, but you're bringing the same habits with you. And that happens at scale. That happens at income levels. You bring all the same habits and the same identity. And so it's really important to do that deeper work before you get into the bigger numbers because then it's higher risk, right? It's more to lose the bigger that you go. Yeah. Hopefully everybody listening is getting a lot of the juice out of that lemon.
Yeah, and I'm getting the juice out of the lemon, even if no one else is. I'm enjoying myself here.
Just so everybody listening knows, we actually are jumping on. This is round 2 of recording because we lost the first half of our last conversation. And so I'm excited about the fact that we wouldn't have had that aha moment had the first recording worked out. So everything happens for a reason. We both probably needed a lesson, and our audience really needed that lesson today too. So it was all meant to be.
Wow, I believe that 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump back into this conversation. I love the nugget that we just pulled out of there. I want to give people some perspective. With that being said, about growing, what time frame are we looking at? You said it took you about 8 months to see a good significant income from your YouTube channel. What can other people expect, and what does that look like to be able to see really good results?
It's a good question, Kirsten, because now it's much different to when I started 4 years ago. Now YouTube are doing something different than what they were doing back when I started. Right now, YouTube are favoring smaller channels are having what I call the graces of the algo or the graces of the algorithm, where they're small channels, they're just starting out, but when they upload something, for some reason, it seems to take off faster than from a video that's been uploaded by a larger channel. So right now is pretty much the best time to start. YouTube are promoting smaller channels. They give an extra favor to smaller channels. And I think this is my theory. And the reason for that, I believe, is because there's a higher profit margin for YouTube to do that. Why? Because if YouTube are going to play adverts on a video, whether the channel's monetizing or not. So if they have to play adverts on a channel or on a video that is monetized, then they have to split the revenue with the creator. But with a smaller channel, YouTube take 100% of the revenue. They take all of the profits. So that's why I think that's why YouTube is pushing the smaller channels, because they benefit from it. And essentially the smaller channels also benefit from it. So yeah, so now's the best time to start YouTube. Recently, this year, at the beginning of this year, I was able to monetize 2 channels. And they both of them took 30 days to do it. So 1 month is my average on those 2 channels. My first channel, as we mentioned earlier, took me 8 months. But knowing what I know now and knowing how YouTube works now, I can pretty much do it in 30 days. And yeah, pretty much it's not as hard as it used to be. Back when I started, it was a tough game. Not many people survived in the course that I took. But now it's like YouTube, Faceless YouTube channels is becoming very big right now. And it's becoming more and more popular now than it ever was. And more people I see are popping up and having a huge success. 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds making 10K a month. Yeah, it's big.
Wow. Isn't that the case across the board? We're seeing massive growth. I think this whole online business thing is taking a whole new level in and of itself where, yeah, it's not just the crazy thing that happens to some people. It's a very predictable thing that we can control and we can build. And I think like you said, maybe even at the beginning, you didn't even know you could do YouTube as a business, that you could be strategic and intentional like this. And I think that's what I love about your system is it's so easy to calculate, right? And it doesn't mean the work is easy. The fact that you have that 5-step system, it's a business. These are the things you need to do. You plug in these things over and over again, you're going to eventually have success. And so a lot of times in the past, it was just like, I don't know, let's just try it. We'll see what works. Nobody really knows what's happening here. Algorithms haven't even developed themselves yet. And now it's a totally different game where we have a lot more control than we think we do. And with that being said, what does it look like? Because I know you meant, and I didn't even know this. I didn't know YouTube would put advertisements on videos that I didn't choose to allow to be on there. I thought it was the creator could decide one way or another. So is that not the case?
Nope, it's not the case. It's interesting because back in the day, back when I started, YouTube will only play ads on videos that were monetized, that were part of the monetization program. But now, in the past 2 years, they've introduced where it doesn't matter if your channel's monetized or not, YouTube are going to play ads on your videos. Yeah.
Wow.
And it makes sense for them to do that. It's their platform. They're entitled to do whatever they want. And it's more money for them, more profit margin for them. And so they're doing it. Even if you don't want to monetize, YouTube will still make money from your video.
Well, that's good to know. So let's talk about what it looks like to have a little bit more control, and what do I need to be aware of when I'm ready to monetize, when I have that option. First of all, do you need 1,000 subscribers to be able to be a monetized channel? Is that still the statistic?
Yeah, so they've changed it now to 500 subscribers, but that's to enter into the program, but you don't get fully monetized. You just get accepted. And then when you get 1,000 subscribers, that's when you're fully accepted into the program.
So to see, are there different variations in how you can make money from those ads? Like, I know that before when we recorded and we lost that content, you were explaining to me how the different CPMs work and the different price points and what you want to strive to make sure you're doing intentionally with your channel so that you're getting that bigger payout.
Yeah, so there are different ways of monetizing a community. It really depends on the niche if you have a very loyal following. And it's monetization through AdSense. It makes the most sense when it comes to a faceless channel. Now, it's a bit difficult to sell to an audience if you're faceless because people subscribe to multiple faceless channels. And so it's a bit difficult to sell a product, but that doesn't mean it can't work. There's many channels who do a Patreon. So if you can have a paid community that surrounds your channel, like a Patreon community, or you can sell a product like an ebook or even a course that's linked to your niche. But yeah, it's possible. And I know people who in the faceless YouTube space who are doing that, but it is much more difficult than if you were showing your face in your YouTube channel, because people buy from people. And if people see a face, they like that person. They want to talk to that person. They want to be mentored by that person. They love that person. But when it's a faceless channel, it's slightly less difficult, but it's not impossible.
Whoa. Landing an account this big will totally change my landscaping business. It's going to mean hiring more guys and more equipment and new trucks for the new guys to drive the new equipment in. I don't know if I'm ready.
You can do this, and Ford Pro FinSimple can help. Our experts are ready to make growing pains less painful for your business with flexible financing solutions that meet the needs of your business today when you need them. Get started at fordpro.com/financing.
More and more entrepreneurs and investors are discovering the awesome franchise opportunities that exist across a variety of industries. Franchising can simply be the better path, and interest in franchising is at an all-time high. Lucky for you, John Austenson, founder of FranBridge Consulting and a past Millionaire University guest, is here to help you explore the premier franchise opportunities today. John and his FranBridge Consulting team are part of the largest franchise brokerage in the U.S. and have vetted the market thoroughly. FranBridge is hands down the premier source for the best opportunities in the franchise world, including both active and passive opportunities. From tiny homes to youth soccer to industrial hoses to pets, senior care to mental health, and more. John has served as an Inc. 500 franchisor and is a multi-brand franchisee himself. And he does more placements than anyone else in the country. Sign up for a free consultation call with John today or get a free copy of his book, Non-Food Franchising, at franbridgeconsulting.com. That's franbridgeconsulting.com. Available in the U.S. and Canada.
Okay. So if you are going the AdSense direction, what am I looking at? I don't even know these numbers. I know I've had friends in the past who've had YouTube channels, and I know that the scale is all over the place with how much you can make from those different ads. When you're actually in the driver's seat of you're being monetized and YouTube is paying you, how much are they paying me? And what does that look like?
It really depends on the niche you're in. So if your audience is a Western audience, then YouTube will pay you more. If your audience is an audience in a less economically developed country, then YouTube will pay you less. And it's simply because of the advertiser's budget. The budget of the advertisers is going to be significantly lower for a an audience that is less economically developed. So that's one of the factors that come into play. The other factor that comes into play is how long your video is. Because if your video is over 8 minutes long, you can whack in-stream ads, meaning that you can play adverts in between the videos, or it's like ad breaks. So that's another factor. And the longer your video is, the more in-stream ads you can put in. So you get paid significantly more. And that thing, if you can increase your RPM or your CPM, then what happens is that thing is like a multiplier. So instead of getting paid, if you get 1 million views on a video, instead of getting 3 grand, you can get like 10 grand. If you can learn how to increase your CPM, it's like a multiplier. It's like the more views you get, it's like it multiplies the amount of money you make. And the way to do that is longer videos so you can whack in more. Also, Western audience. And another part of it is you can actually ask ChatGPT to come up with a list of keywords which are high for advertising budgets in your niche. And ChatGPT will come up with a list of keywords that you can include in your video. So in the script, in the actual script of the video, in the voiceover, if you get certain keywords mentioned in the voiceover, for example, if you was to mention the word NBA or just like NBA or tennis or money, finance, crypto, trading, something to do with finances usually has a very high CPM. So when you mention those keywords in the video, your CPM goes up because YouTube recognizes that video as a finance video where there's going to be a lot of investors watching and there'll be a high advertising budget. So that's one way. Just change the script, make the video longer, target a Western audience, and yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool. And even I've explored YouTube ads before for myself, and I know how to research and assign certain keywords where I want the ads to be shown. So that's really cool to hear from the creator standpoint is, okay, that's how they're finding them. They're going through the script, they're pulling that out, and that is how they're determining this is the right audience for this content. And that's even why we see ads for things that are actually opposite of what the person is watching the video about, right? Like it's a polarized, complete opposite end of the argument. You're watching this thing that's anti-homeschool and then you see a homeschool advertisement on the video because it's still the same keyword and same interest, just from it's not differentiating based on your actual preference, just on the subject matter. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting hearing it from an advertiser's perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
And it's interesting also to observe, because you talked about this in the very beginning, the ideation is important, but even the niche selection and doing that research, I know is probably a huge part of the success or failure of the work that you're going to do to build this channel. And so is that where you're trying to determine the targeting and making sure that you're hitting up that Western audience? Or how else can you control who's going to be watching these videos? Is it just the subject matter itself?
In terms of the ideation, in terms of the audience, controlling the audience, that is decided when you're choosing your niche.
Okay.
That's right at the beginning where you have to choose your niche. So there is a niche out there that talks about, it's more of a cowboy niche. It talks about dead cowboys, essentially, and how cowboys died during bull riding. It's actually the bull riding niche. And it talks about how cowboys would ride the bulls and how they would die in different tragic deaths in that area. So that's 100% a Western audience. There won't be anyone from India, Pakistan, or Africa watching that because they don't have a Scooby-Doo about bull riders, cowboys, and that kind of stuff. That kind of audience is a Western audience. So that's one of the areas, that's one of the ways you can determine if it's a Western audience. Just looking at the comments. Yeah, if you look at the comments and then you just ask yourself what kind of people are watching this, where do they live? And of course, it's going to be difficult to target 100% Western audience, but it is possible.
Okay, that's so good to know. Something I want to point out to our listeners right now is so many of the things you're telling us to do that are YouTube specific apply across the board. This is really good market research and business planning that need to happen at every single level on every single platform. And these are the keys to success. It's not just, oh, let's try a bunch of things and see what can work. It's taking the time to do the research, being intentional, because anybody can start a YouTube channel, right? The barrier of entry is easy. Go upload a video, create a fake Gmail account. Anybody can start a YouTube channel. But to have a successful one that's monetized and making money, just as with any other platform, it requires that research and it requires that intentionality. And I love that, like I was saying before, because it's predictable. We can work with numbers. We can work with data as long as we're starting off with a plan, which is what you've given us today that applies to so many different things in business.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Everything you learn in life is applicable to all areas, especially, the things that you learn doing YouTube is the same things that you learn in business. And that's what I love about this whole area, because the skills are what we call in the UK interchangeable, where you have it in one industry, you can move it on to the next.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to wrap this up because this is one of my favorite approaches, or one of my favorite things that we cover on the podcast, and that is mindset. What essential mindset shifts have you seen that you've needed to make as an entrepreneur that you recommend to other people to make, especially specific to this type of business? Because I know you said if you're not invested, if you're not excited about the subject matter, it may be easy to give up, and I think that's the case with anything. So what have you seen for yourself that has happened to help you stay in the game?
That's a very good question, Kirsten, because my mindset was the whole never give up mindset. And I know that's a cliche, and it's a cliche for a reason. But the reason why I didn't give up was simply because I invested so much into my channel, into my videos. I invested so much time, so much money, so much effort, so much energy. I made sacrifices. I just felt I can't give up. It's not an option anymore. I've burnt my bridges. I've invested too much into this to give up. And I think that was the main thing that kept me on the hook. It was, I invested too much into this. I'm not stopping now. You're going to have to kill me to stop me now. And yeah, so that was the thing that made me never give up. And it's a good thing to invest into your business, because not only are you purchasing whatever you're purchasing for the business, whether it be advertising, videos, but it locks you in and it makes you loyal to the cause. And so that's one of the most important things you need, is it holds your feet to the fire. It holds you accountable. You begin to tell yourself, hold on, I invested too much money into this. I need to see a ROI. So I think that's a very important thing that hooked me and that hooks others.
Yeah. And I think that is on the opposite end of that, the reason that so many businesses do fail, because there isn't enough buy-in. There isn't enough vision to create that success. And sometimes it's the loss of vision that keeps you going. So in your case, it was like, we're not going to sink all this money that I put into this course and learning this concept. I'm going to do it until it works. And that's grit that a lot of people need to grow into and doesn't necessarily come natural for hardly any of us. And it looks like that's something that has contributed majorly to your success. And you can label it as we had money, we have our feet on the fire. There's so many different motivators to that. But at the end of the day, you kept showing up. I'm sure it wasn't easy. I'm sure it required a lot of failed projects and frustrating videos that you've uploaded, and just we could probably look back on some of the other things that you've tried, and all of us could, all the URLs that I own, all the businesses I've started. But at the end of the day, when it works, it's when that consistency is there, because you do have that vision and you have that bigger picture and you have some skin in the game, which is, I agree, is really important.
They are what I call business battle scars. If you don't have them, then you're not the real deal. If you haven't had at least 10 failures before your first success, you ain't the real deal. You're still failing.
I love it. Well, you have been awesome. I'm so glad that we got to re-record part of this interview. I know that I have very full confidence that this is probably even better than what we originally created. We know each other now. We're just like old friends jumping back on a call. And I appreciate you being willing to do that.
My pleasure.
So where can our listeners find you? They want to learn more about what you're doing and keep up with all things creating a Faceless YouTube channel.
Yeah, so my website should be in the link below. They can click on that and to see more about me. And I am on Instagram. So if you want to find me on Instagram, just type in my name, Tony Lysandrides, and I should be there.
Cool. I'm really glad that you've come on here and shared this. We're always looking for a variety of ways that we can share with our audience of how they can start building income, start growing something of their own. So I appreciate you. And we'll make sure we link to everything in the show notes, everybody. So go check that out. And thank you again for coming on, Tony.
My pleasure, Kirsten. Thank you for having me.
Who knew that this opportunity existed to not only leverage YouTube to build a channel, but to do it in such a strategic way? Thank you to Tony and our other show sponsors for making this episode possible, where we were able to learn yet another way that we can build a business online using interests, using talents that we might already have. And I love that Tony talked about finding your competitive advantage, because notice he didn't come in and say, here's how you can do every single element to make this a successful business. Instantly, there's a system built in, and I appreciate those steps that he incorporated into this masterclass so much, because I know we have a tendency to want to learn everything, do all the pieces, but find that competitive advantage, use it to your benefit, and start building something now. I hope you guys learned a lot from this episode and saw the patterns that emerge every single time we interview a successful entrepreneur. I am so grateful that we had technical difficulties and that we had to re-record the last half of this interview, because in addition to the aha moments, we really gave you some great subject matter that is applicable to whatever business you decide to pursue. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you learned something and that you're feeling super excited about what you're about to build. And until the next episode, you guys have a great day. Class dismissed.